And joining us now here on In the Circle on D1 Softball, of course, he is part of the coaching staff, an assistant, a long time, great. He's been a head coach at NC State, started that program, has played, of course, coached. I remember her back when she coached, she was at Barry, D2, Florida, his Florida ties, which I like as much as a fellow Floridian. I speak of Lisa Navas joining us here at In the Circle on D1 Softball, making your debut in the pod here. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Talk about what's it been like this fall. I know as a team you got to go to Puerto Rico, and then now you're wrapping up the fall. What's it been like with this group that has 11 new faces, but also has a good number of returners?
Puerto Rico trip was a lot of fun, and it was a great bonding experience for the kids. They got to know each other, outside and relaxed. But we still got to play softball and being around the national team, although I wasn't on that side of it. I stayed with USF and was able to help the kids, and we just really had a great time.
What is it when you reflect on last year as a program? 44 wins. You win the American Conference tournament in dramatic fashion in a game that'll be remembered forever at home at Tampa against North Texas, where you fall behind. There's weather delays. You come from behind. You win it. Get to the regionals in Tallahassee. When you reflect on last year as a staff, what comes to mind?
Well, I mean, each team is always completely different, and you take the bonuses of little things that we did. There were some kids that had never won a championship, and one of the kids turned around and she's like, "Coach, this is my first championship." And I said, "You remember you asked why do I coach or why any of us coach, and it's to give you that feeling of being a champion." And so it's last year's group was that with Josie and Alana and their leadership. But this year, it's completely different. Again with 11 new faces, the youth. They're trying to make me young, and we're really having a good time and letting them kind of figure out where they fit as we've gone through. The fall season's been great, and we've won most of our games and done some great things with it. So it's a fun group to watch them mature through.
Now, one of the questions you all as a staff will get between now and February is, of course, we're taking over. Who takes over for Josie Foreman, who was such a impactful player on and off the field, incredible hitter last year, great power numbers, but also great defensive catcher as well when she caught. You don't replace players like that, but with that in mind, that's also leadership. Just talk about some of the new faces that will step in, and especially at the catcher position.
Well, it's kind of like Moneyball. We're replacing, we only replacing four kids, but we're replacing them with basically two or three kids. So Kylie Strott transferred in. Abby DeWaters is a freshman for us. They're just all, contributing in different ways in terms of hitting and all that good stuff. So Josie's Josie had a lot of characteristics overall, her personality, how she's been able to work with pitchers. So her still being around and catching our bullpens, talking to the kids, it's just, it's been good. And then the youth of Casey and Abby being freshmen and them kind of learning from her, like how she does it and any questions that they may have. So it's been a lot of fun.
You had an incredible offense last year that really broke some records, program records. What's the identity and outlook for the offense this year?
It's slow moving right now because of there's a lot of restructuring in terms of how their body is and what they do. We could have seven freshmen starting if we wanted to. It's just back and forth, but the kids are they're hitting the ball hard, and we hit Adam, those old hit Adams type of play, but they've really done a good job. And our numbers probably won't, and we're not trying to repeat last year. We're trying to be who we are now, and so that identity, we have till February to kind of pop it out.
Yeah, no doubt. Let me talk about some of the offense individuals. Starting with Alexa Wilkes, 337, 11 homers, 59 RBIs. Olivia Elliott, 353 average. You got Alexa there, who's hit 357 as well. Elliott, 353, I should say. Just talk about some of those individuals that have certainly been a big part of the offense.
Well, they all three are really hitting the ball well this fall. But we don't want that pressure of they have to lead us. They just need to be themselves. And actually, Kathy has come through pretty huge for us this fall and really hitting the ball hard. So, it's just, they don't have the Josie and Alana that's going to hit the double or home run, to rely on. So they're coming through, and we're much faster as a team, and just making some things happen for ourselves.
Got three Wilkes on your roster.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
three Wilkes, two Galliganis, and two DeWaters.
that's
We are a
incredible.
family. We are a family.
How would you describe that siblings there and kind of the comparisons there? That's unique.
Well, it really is, and Jocelyn Wilkes is the oldest sister, and she takes care of them. But Casey has come right in, and she's played second for us. She's caught. She can play the outfield, and everybody thinks she can't hit, like she's small, and she'll come out and line one right past you. So just all of them. Yeah, Ava Galligani is Alexa's little sister, and she really came through in Puerto Rico. She hit a home run, and those fences were 220. So she's really come through. And then Alice didn't get to play much last year. She got hurt, and so now Abby and her are pretty much freshmen together. So Alice plays first, and Abby will catch for us. So.
Of course, Kathy Garcia Soto, two-time Defensive Player of the Year, leading that infield and defense. You're a defensive person there. What's it like coaching her, who's going to go down as one of the best defensive players in the program's history?
Coaching Kathy is it's fun every day because hopefully I'm teaching her some stuff, but she teaches me, because we'll talk about like how do you do this and that. So it's not my way, her way. But it's, she, like she said earlier, she goes too quick. She'll try to do too much, so it's kind of keeping her down and keeping her calm. But she is every coach's dream. She has it, and you can't teach it. But she is just a special kid, and she will keep there. I mean, I have no doubt she's the best second baseman in the country. And it's just people base it a lot on hitting, and she will keep 10 to 15 runs from happening, playing the defense that she does.
Who are some of the other players that you think could be a standout defensive player and be considered for one of the call conference defensive player of the year, or a stalwart on your defense?
One of our freshmen, Torin Fulton, out of Pennsylvania, the first time I ever saw her play, coach was like, just watch her. And all of a sudden this ball gets hit and it's over her head. And I was like, oh, geez. And the kid dove backwards in from center field and made the catch. And I was like, she's got it, so she's going to be somebody special. But, I mean, Alex will probably mainstay at shortstop this year. Dania and Jocelyn will rotate at third base. So there's a lot of kids, and that's what we're priding ourselves on, is defensively making sure that we're solid. We don't have the dominant pitching we've had in the past, but we have a good staff of 5, 6 kids that'll rotate through, and Coach Eriksen and Coach Carla do a great job in terms of pulling a kid out, putting them in against one batter. Sometimes I'm next to Ken and I'm like, what are you doing? It's takes a kid out and I'm like, great job. So it's, it'll be a lot of fun.
What's the key to developing a good defensive unit and coaching them? What's the key?
I think I base everything in fundamentals, and making sure that we're not making the mistakes ourselves. Control what you can control. There's nothing special there, but it's like if we make a mistake, it's talking to the kid of why and what's going on. Pushing yourself in practice so that it's harder. So our kids really push each other in understanding and not making the mistakes that we can control, which is coverages. Throwing and catching is what we base everything on. So when they try to do too much or create something out of nothing, that's when we get in trouble. So they're good, and it's a lot of conversations of, not yelling at them, hey, you got to do it this way. It's like, hey, what were you thinking there? Why did you make this play? Whatever, and we continue to move on there.
Pitching wise, of course, you had Peyton Dixon last year, won 19 games. You got Bella Sargio, who had 17 wins, 9 saves, among the nation's best. Kind of talk about the pitching staff. That's a big loss in Dixon, but you have a lot of arms, new faces, and as well as returners.
Well, we thank the Vanderbilt guy for doing the junior college thing, so we get Bell back for a year. But Hannah Marine didn't pitch much last year, but she just has come out doing really well this year. Ann Long has she's done a phenomenal job for us too. It's we have McKenna Stroding, who didn't pitch much at all last year, but she won the national championship with Carly Ernst in Oklahoma City this past summer. So they've got some good experience coming in. So I'm excited about them. And then we have our freshman, Amelia Jacobs. Didn't pitch much this fall, but she's coming around and getting a little stronger and be able to do some things for us.
You mentioned, of course, Carly Ernst coming from Hofstra here. I mean, that's the thing. It's very USF softball. It's a lot of arms, a lot of different looks and matchups and variety. And that sounds like, once again, that's what you got this year.
Yes, I mean, we don't have a lefty for the first time in a long time,
Oh,
but it's but these kids are a little different in everything that they do. Whether one kid has a changeup, one's rise, one's drop, that kind of stuff. So Coach Ken does a great job in those types of matchups, and we'll be okay.
what makes Sargent so great where she could be an incredible starter, high leverage, closer? I mean, serves a lot of roles in that pitching role.
Belle, I mean, she's a bull. I mean, she just really, she refuses, to back down. She's competitive in everything she does. She'll sit there. She knows when her pitches, and it's kind of like Georgina Corrick, where, I never forget selling George. I was like, hey, what happened on that changeup? Why that kid hit it out? And she goes, that's my fault. I should have buried it. And so Belle does the same thing. She's like, I should have buried that pitch. That one should be up a little bit more spin. And Belle will not throw you the same thing. She mixes it up really well, keeps you off balance. You look like you're going to hit it, and all of a sudden, on your second time around, you might touch it. So she just, she mentally is strong and really makes things happen.
What's when you look at it too, you got the catcher, you mentioned the catchers earlier. That's part of, I know in talking to Coach Eriksen over the years, that's a big part of it, is that catcher-pitcher relationship. There's years where the catcher's calling the pitches, or sometimes they're getting the calls from the dugout, etc. But there's that kind of bond, that relationship. That's a key factor, I would imagine, this fall with the catchers and the pitchers.
Yeah, Kylie Strott is her best friend growing up, and we did some introduction deals, and Kylie and Hannah have grown up together and best of friends. So it's that kind of stuff works together, and then Carly and Kylie live together. So they all have to get to know each other, and we try to do some different things, like every program I'm sure does. They go eat together, they'll, this and that, but they spend a lot of time together getting to know each other. I think what we've done different is that we have called the pitches this fall, so that they can learn how to call. Before, we've let them kind of go through, but like this week is our green and black scrimmage, and the catchers are calling. So, but again, Carla will go over it with them afterwards, like why you called this, here would have been a better situation, what you're looking for. So it's a constant education on all of it, to learn and to be better at it.
Let's talk a little bit about you. You joined the staff as a volunteer in 2022, of course, because full-time after that. In talking to Coach Eriksen, he's given you a ton of credit since you've arrived to the program for a lot of different things in the program that helped also win the conference championship. What was it that got you interested in working with Coach Eriksen? I know he told me you two have known each other for a long time, but what was it that brought you two together and have formed this team, a part of the coaching staff?
Well, I did meet Ken the first day I was coaching at Barry University. And so that was 92 or 91 fall. Um, and it really, we were, I met him when I played at Oklahoma City University. We were they actually, USF was out at Vegas. We were playing in a tournament. And I was like, I knew some of the kids that we played slow pitch together. And so we always talked. He invited me up to do camps every Christmas. My parents lived over here in Tarpon Springs, so that's where I live now. So I have a 45-minute drive every day here. But this was always my second school. He offered me the job a couple of different times, and I tease him. He hired Tommy, and I said, "You hired the wrong Puerto Rican." So we just, going on and on. But this worked out. My mom got sick and passed away in 21. And so that's why I was here, and then ended up coming over. And he saved me in terms of giving me something and put my attention into. And so it's been great. And I kicked myself for not being here earlier, but I won't change the experience I had at South Carolina or NC State or anywhere. So I love working for him. I can harass him. He teases me. I'm his wife at work. We go back and forth, but we can talk about things, and it's like, why are you doing this? Why am I doing that? And create to continue to make me a better coach as I challenge him in different areas. So it's been a lot of fun.
There was a fantastic feature on the USF website that I encourage people to go and read about Coach Eriksen and how last year really rejuvenated, like his passion, his joy. Like last year was one of the most fun teams that he's ever coached, and just kept him going as far as getting it, staying in coaching, because he thought openly about maybe retiring at some point a little while ago. Did you notice that last year really meant that much to him and the joy?
I did. And was the previous years, a lot of people are like, oh, to be a national team coach is all this and that, and you just have to kind of show up. And it takes your toll on you. Like Kathy said, the traveling is just unbelievable. But I've just done it for 3 years now with Puerto Rico, and I'm like, Ken, how could you have done this? It's just that your heart and everything goes away from the actual team you have. And he has turned things around in terms of he had to get to know his family again because he was gone so much. He had to get to know everything here at the university, and really put all his attention back into USF. And that's where, the first year I was here, it was tough because it was like he was thinking in the national team sense, and I'm like, they're not national team players. And so we got back to it. But last year we had a lot of fun. And the kids were just goofy, and that kind of stuff. And it was just, the stars aligned for us and things happened. It was great.
How much, if at all, has he changed, or has he adapted to some things? What's he like now? Somebody who knows him as well as you do.
Um, he has, as we all do, we have our ways of doing things. And it's even Coach Badia. He helps so much. I mean, it's probably Coach Badia keeps me calm, and that I don't, because I get riled up. But we all kind of can talk about things and think it through to where these kids are today. Ken's children, his actual children, are 27 to 30 years old. So he's not dealing with the young ones. So we're just telling them how to deal with these kids, what they're thinking. And I mean, the whole landscape of athletics is completely different. That all of us are kind of switching with it. I was afraid he was going to retire, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? But he, it rejuvenated all of us in the excitement of it. And now with a new CEO, Derek Brooks is now one of our administrators, so it's a lot of fun. And USF is a great place to work.
Yeah, I got to talk to Coach Erickson and maybe you. Like, get me somebody's got to get me a Derek Brooks autograph. I have his poster, as a matter of fact, still
He's
from
at
watching.
every game. He is at every game. So,
That's pretty good softball and softball parent. I believe he loves his softball, from what I understand.
oh yeah, he's behind home plate, and he goes, when I'm at the game, I'm Derek Brooks, the dad, and he was funny because he walked out on the field after one of our games. We're like, oh, administrator on the field, uh-oh. And he's like, no, no, no. So, but he really is a great guy. Loves Tampa. His daughter is wonderful, and it's been a lot of fun.
You mentioned you're going back and forth between you because you're part of the Puerto Rican staff.
Yes.
How did you get in? What was it that you made decide? Hey, I want to help here with the Puerto Rican national team. And just tell us about that and how that's evolved.
Well, I've always wanted to and to be a part of, but I just never had the contacts. And until I came here with Carla, who was on the team, I talked to Jessica Vanderlinden, who's Jessica Boulware now, and she had been working with them, but they just kept saying, "Hey, I don't know her, so I can't have her on the staff." And so Carla kind of vouched for me, and I was able to go and work with the new staff. And I think that I met them actually when I was the assistant for the USA junior team in 18, and Carla or Kathy was playing on that team. So I met them then. We won the championship that year, and then after that, then they started having me come out. So it's been great. Everything else, every year, if I go back or not, but it's just helping them, helping the kids, whatever we can do. Because both my parents are Puerto Rican, of course. My mom was born in Adjuntes, Puerto Rico, and we've always gone back and everything else. Now I'm one of the ones that don't speak Spanish, but I can understand it, so it's all good.
It's all good as long as you know understand certain
Yeah.
things. You should be fine. How much do you lean to Coach Erickson? Who, full disclosure, the first time I ever had him on this podcast was about 7, 8 years ago. It was right around the time where he was really openly trying to get softball back in the Olympics. He was the head coach of the U.S. national team, and you know he doesn't get enough credit for what he did with the U.S. national team when there was no Olympics in sight, and he kept it going and kept players, developing players, and to the highest stake. And nobody knows the international game as well as he does. How much did you pick his brain while you're coaching, helping out with the Puerto Rican national team, and pick his brain from that side of it?
Well, it's funny because it's constant talking every time. And if I'm gone, any questions or whatever, I come back to him. I even remember with the with the USA team in the 18 and under, we were beating a team by a lot. Cagle from Clemson, she might have hit two grand slams and something else. I couldn't figure out why they were still pitching. They talked about, you should step off the base, and we're so competitive. We're like, why would we give them an out? But it was also being respectful to other countries. So it's a lot of that. We all have the funny stories of getting sick. He has stories of when he played and being sick when he was down in the Dominican or Cuba or something. So it's just talking about little things like how to deal with stuff. Even our trainer, Michelle Lattimore, was his trainer with the USA team. So she still, she goes back and forth, like she taking care of the pitchers and how they had to deal with things, how the fields are, dealing with the umpires and that. I do have a leg up on all of it because he is my encyclopedia and I can ask him anything.
Yeah, he's definitely the right person for that, and has many stories there. Talk about this staff as a whole, how you all kind of click. You got Coach Carla there. You got, of course, Jim. You mentioned earlier. Just talk about the entire staff and the operations there. What's it like? Because you're all a team and you're all family there as a coaching staff.
Yeah, it's Carla, of course, is a young one, and she has a little boy. So we Ken is wonderful of giving her the time she needs to take care of Ian, and he's a part of everything we do. She works with the pitchers, and it's like she also is such a great hitter for us in Puerto Rico. So I kind of use her as examples when we're doing some things, like how she would approach a center toss session, like, what she's looking at, how she's hitting the ball, and everything else. It is different in international. I mean, the strike zone is bigger than, a little wider, but it's just, staying composed and everything else. And Carla has that all the time. So I think that she's a calming presence with a lot of the kids, that they talk to her even about hitting or pitching, we do through the innings as we go. Coach Jim is, again, I knew Jim since Oklahoma City days. He was coaching at OU when I was playing at OCU. So he really is, he's so intelligent. I mean, we call him the professor. So he just really knows the game inside and out. We tease him that he invented the game itself. So he just goes through and he just talks and he's able to relate to the kids on a different level with some different things. He works with our outfielders and our base running, and we've really, kind of stuck to it, like, these little details and everything, and that's what he watches for in practice. And then Coach Eriksen takes care of the hitting, and again oversees everything. But he, it's still like, if I see something that I feel like we're deficient in, we can talk about it. And we have our meetings every afternoon to, hey, get after this. But we all get along well. There's no egos in terms of, this is my, defense, or this and that. It's like, what do you see? Carlo will do the same thing. It's like, hey, the first basemans aren't doing this, and then I'll go talk to them, or during those drills, I'll have her do it. So it's just constantly trying to be the best for the program, not for our individual selves.
With 11 new faces, a lot of freshman class, which I know as a staff you're excited about. And I know, talking to Coach Eriksen over the years, development, that's a big part of the program, is developing players. Maybe that player's not ready year one, but they will be ready by year 3 or 4. But it sounds like what you mentioned earlier, you think if you wanted to, you could start 7 freshmen. You said, is this freshman class ahead of maybe some of the other freshman class? How would you describe this freshman class?
They are, with experience in terms of play. There's little things like, if we do relays and destinations, we haven't had to spend as much time with some things, that they grasp the concept of it. So we, just moving them and getting them, because everybody has an older player right next to them in any position they're playing. So they're able to ask each other questions, and our players are great about, not, you need to do it this way, but here's what you're doing. Hey, you're hesitating on that ball. You need to come through it. Whatever it may be. And so they're, the little extra coach that's out on the field with them. So they've been good about it. But it is the actual overall experience at our level that they don't have. The pitching, the different things, seeing that type of pitching is a little bit different. Than, you can't replicate it on the machine and everything else. So they've gotten better. But again, it is player development, but player development is 4 years. It's not necessarily one.
Right. But they're going to contribute in however ways. Has there been one that stood out to you this fall that you're like, ooh, this one is ready to go, was ready to go from day one, and it's going to contribute big time? Or a couple of them? I know, we talked about a couple of them already, but just talk. I mean, who has stood out from the fall that you think could have an impact on this 2026 version?
Torrin Fulton, I think it can do some things. She's quick. She has a lot of power in her game, so she can do a lot of things. Abby DeWaters, I mean, defensively is heads and shoulders above a lot, and hitting wise, she's doing a good job. Lexi Beldowitz has crushed the ball this fall, done a really good job. But it's just them being consistent with how their fundamentals in terms of their hitting. They go back to dropping their hand and wanting to crush it, instead of staying mentally strong and staying within their fundamentals. So, but yeah, it's a good group of kids.
The American top 5 league in the sport last year, multi-bid league once again last year with you and FAU. What's it like in this league? It's going to be tough. As a champ, you're going to have everybody's best this year. But it's a league that's growing every year, and I think a lot of excitement internally about even making it more than just a 2-bid league, maybe 3 or 4. What's your thoughts on the American?
Well, I thought last year we would have three or four because North Texas, I think, deserved to be in there. Even with them, changing coaching staff, they still have a really good program coming back. FAU has done a great job. It's really, I think any league you're in, all the teams are good. You can't take anybody for granted. You have to go out it, like it is a championship. We've always gotten the best from everybody, but we cannot take one thing for granted, and we have to go out there and fight for everything. We have the tools, but again, you get one call going one way and takes you off of your kilter. It becomes something else. But we're excited. The whole league is going to be good, and so it's a dogfight from the beginning.
Non-conference, you always play a challenging schedule. Coach Eriksen, you host great tournaments. You have a beautiful stadium. It's one of my favorite stadiums that I've been to. I recommend if anybody hasn't gone, go to that stadium. Describe the facilities that you are working in, because not many, as you know, have that luxury, and that attracts opponents that you have been able to attract over the years. Certainly the tradition every year, you always have Florida and Michigan coming in, for example, of opening weekend, almost every year anyway, if not every year. But the facilities, the location, and then which really attracts to a very attractive schedule every year.
Well, the sunshine helps. So,
Yes.
when everybody else is freezing in January and we're still in shorts, so it makes it nice. But the facility is the netting is all the way down to the bottom, so everybody feels like they're a part of the game sitting in the stands. And actually, this fall we've had probably 500 to 1,000 people at every one of our fall games, which was exciting for us. It just really, the baseball field is right next door, and we do a good job with them in terms of scheduling, off and on, and work with them. But you can be on top looking down on the facility, but it just really, I don't feel like I work every day. I just get to go have fun out on that facility. But the netting and the outside fence will be redone this December to January, and it's a beautiful place to play.
Love it. I mean, there's not a bad seat in the house. I can tell you, I've been having sat in the press box, having sat in the stands. There's not a bad seat in the house. The shade, you hide the shade. It's beautiful. And I've said it. I've been on record that I'm perfectly fine if you all host a conference tournament every other year or so. I don't think anybody would complain. I don't think anybody would complain about coming down to Tampa, Florida. There's SeaWorld. I mean, there's a lot of things to do. So,
Yep, it is. And, like you said, Florida, Michigan, they're going to be here again. I think we have Kansas the first weekend.
yeah.
So it's a lot of great teams. And, it's funny because people are like, you got an opening this schedule. And we're like, you can call us for 2 years from now. We're full the following year. So it's a lot of people want to come down. And even with the ESPN, I think there's another Sarasota tournament are building and everything else, but they actually want to play in our facility. So
It's pretty good. Pretty good. Last question before I let you go. What's going to be the keys for this team that you're looking forward to finding out? Maybe some questions that you have as a staff or things you're looking forward to finding out about this group that will help define the season?
I think it's still the identity of this team is really it hasn't come through. The kids were all buddy at the beginning, and now different people are hanging out together, and so they're all kind of finding out how we want to be, and when we get on the field, are we going to be loud and obnoxious? Because when Kathy's up to bat, the dugout's kind of quiet. When she's not up to bat, everybody's yelling. So it's it's still just kind of finding that part out and putting it together, passing the bat, and making some things happen.
That is Coach Lisa Navas joining us here on In the Circle on D1 Softball, powered by 643. Coach, pleasure to get to talk to you here on the pod for the first time. I mean, Coach Erickson better be careful. You might get Wally pimped. You might be Lou Gehrig now as far as podcast appearances here.
Yeah,
But hey, thank you so much. It was great. I mean, I've enjoyed getting to meet you a couple years back and a chance here to talk at length. And really appreciate you being a part of the sport. Thanks for everything you've done for the sport internationally and in the college level. I'm sure we'll cross paths during the year. But thanks for taking the time for your busy schedule to talk to us here on the Circle on D1 Softball.
I appreciate it, Eric. Thank you.